The man in the rear of the courtroom appeared to be a ghost at first glance. His physique was embraced by an ancient military coat, its buttons tarnished by usage and time, and its elbows worn smooth. His clothing was as short as it normally was, and his hair was silver. With one palm resting on his knee, the other grasped a small folded American flag that had been held and buried for years, its corners soft and its edges tattered. They didn't call him by name. He was referred to as the defendant and charged for impersonating a decorated military veteran. Donning the courtroom was filled with silent incredulity over the use of a military rank in public, unapproved medals. And lying about service. No one really looked at him. Some shook their heads, and others turned away. And one could just make out the scar above his undershirt, just below his collarbone. And no one noticed that something older than the prosecutor was causing his fingers to shake, not fear. It smelled of gunpowder and the heat and death of the desert, older than this courtroom. Master Sergeant Daniel Ror, Afghanistan, 2004, was his name. Save 2 injured soldiers, he had to crawl across a minefield, smoke from the blazing Humvee behind him had filled his lungs. He lost half of his hearing due to shrapnel. His right shin was dented by the blast. He was never able to walk on level ground again. Following a fire at the records facility in St. Louis, his commendation was lost. His unit reprinted the medals, which were signed by a colonel who passed away from cancer 2 years later. However, he never made an effort to explain it to anyone. "It's not about the medal," he would respond when questioned. "The men are the focus. Men who hadn't come home. Men who were now encased in that banner." The prosecutor's voice was stronger, and he pressed harder. He waved documents, rules, and papers. He claimed that Ror was disrespecting actual veterans by dressing the way he did. The silence tightened the courtroom. Point 1. A woman dabbed her eyes as a young man in uniform shuffled in his seat, jaw tensed. Ror did not, however, indicate that he did not argue or plead. He only gazed at the ceiling as though recalling something. Nobody in that room was brave enough to dream. Then there was a change from behind. A man in clothing. Blue got to his feet, and a Marine approached him carefully before clearing his throat and asking to speak in front of the court. The prosecutor rolled his eyes, and the judge paused, but the man continued. "Cable, that medal on his chest, and Master Sergeant Ror were my superiors. He pulled me out of the mud, bleeding out, and I pinned it there myself with a trembling hand." The room became silent. Not one more soldier rose. Next came another, followed by a uniformed woman in the rear. No yelling or elaborate speeches. Veterans stood up, one after the other. They had all known him. They all had tales to tell. Behind each scar was a silent writing of his name. Then he did, before the prosecutor could even finish speaking. What? Nobody anticipated. He went forward, lowered his gaze, and declared, "Your Honor, I retract the charges." He didn't stop there, though. "Permission to salute, sir," he muttered, turning to face Ror and taking a deep breath. Ror remained silent. He only nodded and stood excruciatingly slowly. It was more than a simple salute. That it was a silent earthquake. The whole courtroom stood, eyes streaming, hands browsing. It was because he had never asked, not because he had won. 2. Being quiet in the face of doubt is sometimes the bravest thing a man can do, as he is aware of his identity. Quiet hands often bear the loudest honor. A soldier's worth is determined by how many people would support him without being asked, not by how shiny his medal is. Reporters waited outside, but Ror didn't pause to speak. Instead, he went down the stairs with the flag still in hand and vanished into the silent "I know" headlines. There were no interviews, only the wind and the weight of a much too late salute. Tell us where you're watching from, if this story touched you. For more tales that celebrate people who walk in silence but bear the burden, leave a comment below and subscribe.